Happy Friday! Happy Friday, everybody. How are you? Let's say hi to everybody. Make sure my mic is on. Okay. Hi, Eva, Sandy, Mickey, Liz, Marie, Elaine, Liz. Okay. Madhumati, Leah, Darren, Finding April, Anne, Lindsay, Elaine, Alisa, Happy Stance OT7, Angelita, Esil, Janine, Mickey, Iquid, Annie, Neil Vanil, Namharin, Mensha, Cookie, Sheila, Jasmina, Ahmad. I remember I was opening my YouTube channel. I'm almost ready. So excited. Carolyn Kez, what's the name? I am. I am. Robin Kez, 24K, Tara, Kemuning, Beth, Angel Star, Manin, Fukari, Amy, hi from Jakarta, Liz R, Chantika, Cindy, for funji Jinja, for fun Jinja, Cookie, Emilia, Ilvola, Arfan. Hi. How are you? It's 9 p.m. So thank you to everybody who's on the East Coast. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you are having a good start of your weekend. Aloha. Um, I hope that you're excited. Tomorrow I'm not going to watch, but I'm going to the exhibit of Jungkook. Finally, hello from Orange County. Auto V, hello. I'm going to the exhibit of Jungkook. I'm going to be with my mom. So I hope that if anyone here will go, if you see me there, say hi, please. Going to see JK on Sunday. Great. I will not spoil it. I'll do a review once it's done. Have fun, and I will post. I'll try to do if I can actually do a live. I guess on places or spots where I can do a live, I'll just do that or just record and then post it later. What time? Morning. I think it's either 10 or 11, one of those two. I made it to watch you on the real time. Ah, yay. Grammys use BTS for views. They are always being used for views. Lucky you. I wish it was in New York. Well, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe they'll bring it to New York. Lazy Saturday evening here in New Zealand. Please share a video after. We don't get to see that here. I will. I'll share a video. I'll take as much pictures as I am allowed to do so or videos, and then I'll do some review. I'll talk about it in my next live stream. I'm in Arizona. Too bad for me. Hello, everyone. Well, maybe you can take a trip here. I mean, Jimin's exhibit is also coming here. Yay! So I hope that Jin also has an exhibit. Manifesting. I hope that J Hope has an exhibit. I can't believe they donate to the Grammys and they get the most from their donation. I don't mind if they don't go to Grammy. At least they are safe. She knows. um, I'm at I'm in at 120 and going with two daughters and a BTS bestie. Oh, I don't think I'll catch you. Minus morning, either 10 or 11. I'm going to Colorado. Oh, well, Colorado is beautiful. Good morning, everybody. I'm so happy Disney will play I Am Still in December since it was not available on. I am happy for that as well. But I'm also hoping that they have new content, different from what they actually showed on cinema. I don't mind like if there are similarities because I kind of figured out that it was for those who couldn't go to the cinema. but I hope that there's also additional content. Didn't know that, Darren. Thank you. Um, oh, you didn't know? So yeah, there it's a series. I think 3 parts. They said, and it's going to be on Disney Plus, which I was planning to cancel, but I guess I'm gonna have to stick it out with them because they keep on releasing BTS content. um, so yeah, three-part series. Also, don't forget to buy the ticket for RM's documentary, Jimin's exhibit, and of course Jin's album. Please pre-save. Also, if you can, I actually posted this on my Twitter. If you can, please get a second account, a second premium account for streaming. And you can get it if you, and you don't have to spend for it because there are a lot of accounts who are funding. So apparently, the trick of this many funding accounts is that they ask you for a screenshot and you cannot stream anything else. But Jin's, I guess you can put other songs in between, but it has to really be predominantly the album. So I know that many of you have your biases and you don't want to dilute your playlist or playlists. Then you can get a second account just to help Jin. That will last you for like a month while they're trying to push the song. And then you don't have to renew after. So I hope that you entertain the thought of doing that just so you can help in the streaming, because premium will always be better than free streams in Spotify. The Okay, let's talk about the Grammys. Did you watch their announcement? Nice to see you. Grammy has been giving to the same artist for decades. Nothing new. Kinda nothing new. You didn't wait for it. No? Why did you not wait for it? Okay, a blank screen before it actually loads an image. Okay, so this is not going to be very lengthy. Just want to make sure everyone, we're all on the same page, because sometimes I keep on seeing the same complaints from other people, especially K-pop fans. And one of that complaint is that why do we keep on assuming that Grammys will awards to non-American or non-English speaking singers or non-English songs, considering that it is supposed to be an American award giving body. So they're kind of like, why do you expect that? Like, for example, Mama, do you expect Mama to give an award to foreign acts? Of course not, because that's for Asia, that's for Korea. So that's the main question. Why do non American acts even dream of winning a Grammy? Well, for one, we do need to understand that the US is in a very unique situation in that it is sort of a melting pot of different cultures. The entire country is actually built on different cultures. They A lot of people who settled here are immigrants during that time. Of course, they're native now, but from different countries. Los Angeles, if I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the Native Americans are actually, yeah. So you know the history. It's a lot of different cultures coming together. So that puts the US in a very unique situation. It you can it There is a common consensus that being American doesn't necessarily mean you're a specific skin color, or it's not even a language. It's just really a melting pot of different cultures. And then also the fact that the US in itself is the reigning reserve currency of the world. Basically, we're tying a lot of countries together because you're using our money. The US dollar is actually our biggest economy, the US dollar. So the mere fact that we are going to other countries, sort of exporting our dollar so that you can use it, gives other countries access to the market of the United States. Okay, so that makes Grammy, just like the US, a global industry. It's not just America alone, it's the US. In fact, one of the early winners in the 60s when Grammy was just starting out. They were actually giving out awards to Asians and other non-American acts. The first Asian is actually a Filipino, is Larry Ramos. He was a member of a band, the Association, and he won an award in 1963. How long has the live started? About 10 minutes. Multi-Stan 95. So 1963, he actually won an award. After that, that's him. That's him. And then however, in the very first year of Grammy, 1959, the song of the year and record of the year wasn't even an English song. It was actually I think, Italian. So Volare is the name. I don't know how to pronounce the Italian name of the song, but it was written and sang by Domenico Madugno. I think he's Italian. So he won an award in 1959. The song was released 1958. Record of the year and song of the year. So a non-English song winning the Grammy is not entirely impossible. In fact, it was the very first winner of an award. Record of the year and song of the year was non-English. Now, how did that happen? Because Grammys mission, their fundamental mission, has always been to recognize superiority of songs or music worldwide. It has never been just confined to the US. So during the 1960s, members are expected to participate in workshops and training on voting integrity and criteria, ensuring that they make informed choices based on artistic and technical merit rather than popularity. So I heard that these workshops and training were very, very serious. If you do not attend these workshops and trainings, you cannot vote. So they emphasize the importance of actually recognizing technical merit of the song, the messaging of the song. They give out workshops so that as an artist, you're not just concerned about who's the more popular singer or what is the more popular song or who's your friend or whatever, but you're actually looking at the technical merits of the song. Now, do you expect somebody like Taylor Swift to sit through an entire day of workshop and training? You don't, right? Because she's a busy person. So eventually, this actually went away. They're still giving it away, but apparently, you don't have to attend it, or someone else can attend in your place, stuff like that. Now, even you before being a member, the process of being a member was actually very strict. You need to submit an application, and you need to provide documentation that verifies your professional qualifications, including credits in released recordings. And when you provide your portfolio, you can't just because you've released an album, for example, doesn't mean that you automatically qualify. You have to actually make meaningful impact in the music industry. So you need to have been a pivotal artist in the music industry for them to accept you. Now, for as long as you've sold some albums, you're okay. For as long as you have several syncs, you're okay. You can be a member. During that time, they screen you. Not everybody can just uh, be a member. Now, because of Grammy's emphasis in quality during the 60s, often the ones that won would be music genres like jazz, classical, standards, rather than what we know to be the common winners of today, rock and pop, because the approach, again, was to recognize quality over popularity. So usually in the early days of Grammys, there's always a contrast between what the public expects and what they actually eventually end up winning. Okay. In the website of the Grammys, they specifically said that they want to advance a strong culture of diversity, inclusion, belonging, and respect at the Recording Academy, its affiliates, and in the music industry. So this is their current mission. So if you notice, they never mention anything about the US or whatever. It's always about inclusivity. So it's always global, and they want to recognize the quality over anything else. So the question is, so what happened? If they were that strict before, how did we end up being here right now? Before I proceed, just want to clarify that I am in no way saying that all the winners of Grammys, they're all trash. Absolutely not. There have been a lot of winners who absolutely deserve to win, and and they need to be recognized for that. So I'm not saying that all winners are bozos or whatever. Absolutely not. It's just that there are a lot of others who are non-winners or didn't win, didn't even get nominated, that should have been. Okay. So what happened? The Grammys actually became a victim of their own prestige. Because they're so prestigious, everybody wanted to become a member of the Grammys. So from all walks of life, pop, hip hop, rock, whatever you can think of, everybody just wants to be a member of the Grammys. And it also adds to the credibility of the artist if they are a member of the Grammy. And so what happened was that the agents, publicists, managers, they started moving and actually started networking in order to push their artists, the artists that they are managing, to become a member of the Grammys. So slowly, it wasn't about qualifying anymore. It wasn't about submitting somebody that has substantial work that made an impact in the music industry. It was just about, okay, this music executive wants their artist to become a member of the Grammy, so let's give him membership. A publicist will do some networking in order to push another artist to become a member of the Grammy. Okay, so it became a game of money and influence. Executives and publicists vet for their artists. The slowly the need to actually screen the body of the work of the artist went away. Now, also, if you are a popular singer, for example, and you're filling up stadiums or arenas, then of course, because you're popular, the Grammy would want to make you a member because that will help the popularity of Grammys. Okay. The problem is that popularity, as we know, doesn't always equate to quality. There's a lot of popular songs, popular artists who are just releasing trash songs that don't really mean anything, songs that don't, that just with questionable quality. You've heard this kind of song so many times. It talks about the same thing: sex, more sex, body, violating women, violating men, violate. It's just, it's all about the same thing. It's just, uh, there isn't any diversity in terms, it's not even diversity, it's just like no substance in the music that they are releasing, but they get to be a member just because they are popular. Okay. So as those things progress, as managers and music executives and publicists campaign for other members to become a member, then it became a member of quid pro quo, meaning I vote for you, you vote for me. So it has just become, okay, all right, I'm good at this. My artists will vote for you, for your artists. Make sure they vote for my artists. Then we win, right? So it has become it became politics rather than actual quality of music. um, it also boiled down to parties and cliques. So different friend groups. If an artist is influential, you kind of want to belong to that group, then you will vote for that artist. Again, it because that artist is popular, not necessarily because they are pumping quality music. And then we already know by now the case of P. Diddy, the parties that he actually hosts, the company that keeps. Now we know that he actually would blackmail other artists, that if you don't participate in his parties and not become his friend, then he will kill your your career. Because he has a lot of contacts, he can easily kill your career. Um, and there's actually, I don't know if you know this, but there is an interview of Cat Williams, um, who interviewed him. But there he talked about the necessity of saying no to people like P. Diddy. He actually said it like, you got to tell him no because you blah, blah, blah. He was pretty explicit in that interview. It actually exploded because he did not have any filter during that interview. He just talked about how corrupt the industry is, people that were paying people, and all of those stuff. The problem is that, for example, for an artist like BTS, they don't even go to parties after. Shay Shay, yeah, Shay Shay interviewed Cat Williams. If you go to YouTube and search for that interview, watch the entire thing, your head is going to explode. Shannon Sharp, yeah, your head is just going to explode with the amount of things that he actually revealed. And at that, because his Cat Williams is actually a comedian and a pretty damn good one at that. Okay, but and so sometimes you're kind of like, is he trying to be funny or he's actually telling the truth? Because the things that he just revealed just so unbelievable that it was actually so hard for you to believe it, because it's just so out of this world. Like, they'll do that? Like, maybe no, maybe he's just trying to be funny. But try searching for that interview. My god, the things that he revealed there. Okay, so the problem is that, for example, for groups like BTS, they have different value system. The one good thing about BTS is that when they penetrated the industry, the global industry, the Western industry, they were mature already. Their values were intact. They know their priorities. They were very much respecting themselves already. So they didn't really participate in many of these things. We know this because after going to an award show, instead of going to parties like galas, they call it galas, the parties after these award shows, they would do a live stream so that they can talk with us. They Other artists would actually use that opportunity to network so that they can meet people. And again, it all boils down to quid pro quo. If you develop this relationship, then eventually, if you get nomination, then you can be a part of that group that says, I'll vote for you, you vote for me. Yoongi said Grammys, Oscars isn't that a regional thing? They have a way to go to be considered international. The fact that they broke through at all is incredible. Honestly, Melody, I do think that they already are there. They are already international. They are already global. The only people that are not, the only set of the group that's not acknowledging them would be the insiders of the Hollywood industry. But per market, they already have the market share. They already have the commercial power. So it's just that because they are not native, I'm not just talking about like their nationality or racial or race or ethnicity, but the mere fact that they are not native in this industry and they're not playing by the rules of this industry, they are being treated as outsiders, and will forever be, unless they start submitting to the culture of the West, which, as far as we know now, they aren't really willing to do. Okay, so my opinion, and so we have come to that stage where Grammy has already lost its credibility, not its prestige. It isn't as prestigious as before. It is still prestigious, but it's more about the name that it has established rather than the quality and the cost that it is standing for. If I'm making sense. So it's only people just want the title, not because they believe that being recognized by the Grammy recogni- equates to the recognition of the quality of their work, but because of the prestige of the name or the popularity of the name. That's just about it. I think we all have come to that point in our lives. So we kind of just know that already. In fact, I said in my Patreon channel, if you're a member of my Patreon, in one of the communities there, I said, I'm not even, when they submitted the names of BTS members to for for consideration. I wasn't even excited. Like I think I've reached nirvana because I'm not even excited about it anymore. I will be happy for them, of course, because I feel like it's an unfinished business. But I absolutely do not think it is necessary in anybody's career, not just theirs. So I think they should really overhaul the process because it has been too politicized for it to become credible again. For it's too hard for them to bring it back to their original mission, and that is to recognize the quality of the music that are being released and push forward the quality or help in improving the quality of the industry. I think voting, if they want to keep it, but it should only be a part of the criteria and not it shouldn't be the be all and end all of the judging. I feel numb about Grammy. I do think that you they need experts, those who are detached from the industry but attached to the music of art, the art of music, and there's a lot of these people. They need to really get people that know music. They know not just the technical side of music, but also the historical, the history of music, so that they will know which beats or style or melodies have actually been used, if it is really innovative, how the shifting between majors and minors affect the messaging, stuff like that. I do think that they need experts that will judge this, that will be a part judging. The judgment of the experts must be a part of the criteria. And then I think they need transparency. It's just that because it has become that quid pro quo, um, I vote for you, you vote for me, it has become that the only way for them to get away from it is to be transparent about everything. You have to judge and look at a song through at least two components: the technical merit of the song and the substance of the lyrics. And then the substance can be further divided into form and content. You can't just talk about sex all the time and expect that your song is going to win song of the year just because it was so popular. You can talk about a broken heart and use the same kind of lines and words and have no poetry in that and expect that it's going to win the song of the year or record of the year just because it became popular. It's just you can talk about partying, you can talk about waging a war, just because, and then just because it became popular, you're going to expect that it's going to win song of the year. There has to be some merit on the message, the form, and the content of a song. Okay, so I to this date, I guess the thing is that, as we all know, BTS is the only K-pop act that has been nominated in the Grammys. I am not sure when the next one is going to happen. I hope that this changes happen before anything else. BTS and SNL, my gateway. Yeah. So the other thing is that they actually, someone on Twitter, I think it was Spotify, who mentioned that what's her name? Bruno Mars and Olivia Rodrigo are the only Asians nominated for a Grammy that year, singers. And it raised a lot of questions because neither were born and raised in Asia. Both were actually born and raised in the US. I think, I'm pretty sure Bruno Mars's parents were raised in the Philippines, moved to Hawaii, but he was born and raised in Hawaii. And then Olivia, I think great grandfather or something, and she actually never acknowledged her her heritage until recently when she went to the Philippines for a concert. So of the two, I'm more inclined to say, yeah, Bruno Mars is actually Filipino because he's more attached to our culture, and he has been always been very, very vocal about where he came from. Also, Hawaii has a very, very strong Filipino community. So, but then there is a question of, are we, so how do we determine which who is Asian or who is not, right? Like, okay, so because your father and your mom are Filipinos or Asian or whatever, then you get to be called Asian, even if you weren't born and raised in Asia. I happen to think that, of course, culture, the society, even the political system of the country where you grew up in would actually influence your own culture. But then there's also the question is, but what is Asian? Like what is it? Like what makes you an Asian? Like just the same way, what makes you a Filipino, right? What makes you Korean? What makes you Japanese? What makes you American? So it's just, but then awarding those labels to certain artists would also take away from artists who were actually born and raised in Asia, right? So to BTS, as far as I know, is the most awarded, not most awarded, but most nominated Asian native act in the Grammys. As far as I know, they are the most nominated Asian native act in the Grammys. But then, do we always need? Do we even have to classify it that way? When in fact, so then we go back to the question of who do we consider to be Asian or not? But also because we have been, there is a drive to sort of recognize or acknowledge someone's self identity. Then if somebody says, yeah, I'm Filipino, yeah, I'm Korean or whatever, do we take that away from that person even if they weren't born and raised in Asia? So there's so many questions about that. But as of now, I think Grammy sort of formally saying that Olivia Rodrigo and Bruno Mars were the only Asians nominated singers in the Grammy. Only rappers better than Suga and RM is Eminem. Name a rapper better than them. There were only rappers better than Suga. Doesn't Grammy have Latin music categories? They have Latin Grammys. My unpopular opinion, I would rather BTS win a Grammy as a group, not as solos, because for me, that'll be more impactful. That is the ideal situation for them to win as a group. That's also what I would wish for them. Again, I'm not as eager anymore. I'm not even interested in that. But just because it's an unfinished business, it's like, okay, let's just get it over and done with. So I do want them to win as a group. But I also feel like, I mean, really, I really feel that RM deserved to have been nominated in the Record of the Year award. It's just that's just the fact. He deserved it. I mean, if you look at all this, the albums that were being mentioned, he's just he had I mean, come on, top three at least, I would say. Isn't Grammy coming to Korea to placate Asian fans? Yes, so they're coming to Korea. They're trying to establish one in the Philippines as well. There's already a some investors or whatever, but yeah, they are coming to Korea to establish a Grammy Korea. V supposed to be in R&B category, not pop in Grammy nominations. A lot of them should be in different categories. But what can you do? As I've said, I if there's any, like, if I have a disappointment, it would be RM because he deserves to be nominated. Album of the year, record of the year, really. Okay, now tomorrow someone's going to message me, you're an RM bias. RM solo. Why weren't you mentioning Jungkook when he was already, come on. Okay. But yeah, I was just, so when I saw it, I was like, BS. Like, this is BS. When I saw it, it's like, come on. I can stand in front of anybody and go point by point on why RM deserved to be at least nominated. He deserves to win, actually, if I'm being frank. He deserves that. His is the best in that. I'm just going to say that. His is the best of all the nominees. His album is the best. He should win. Okay. But because they won't give it to him, I'm just going to say he should at least have been nominated. Come on. Come on. BTS wants to compete against all artists, not Asians. They should. I mean, my stand has always been they shouldn't be branded K-pop anymore. Just artists, global artists. If Parasite won, if okay, so many, I vote for RM. Sorry for my outburst, but I really feel that, and I can defend that. I can defend that against anybody. Like his album is actually the best of all. Okay, I disagree with you. Hobie is definitely competition. His album was he didn't release an album. Did he? Oh yeah, he did. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Sharon, hope you are totally on point. Wait for RM Sugar. This discount wrap all if the seven are stars high above the universe. Other artists are just cheap fireworks. I did not like RPWP, but it was a masterpiece. Same thing happened last year when they snubbed D-Day. It's going to take a lot for a non African American to win, or at least American to get into the hip hop scene, to be recognized, because it's so ingrained in the African American culture. It's going to take a lot. I vote ignore Grammys. These supposed to win R&B category. Sorry, US here and don't like R music, only Wildflower. Suga album was amazing too, and rap is not just for me. Now I remember D-Day and Mod 7. Agree, BTS should be pop. Grammys doesn't know what to do with BTS as solos. I think when they reunite with music, they will be considered again. Who should have been nominated? I think Standing Next to You, who should have been nominated. I do think that Friends should have been nominated, but not under the pop category. I cannot wait for Yoongi's next album. It will be fire. Next year nominations will come, so BTS comes. JK couldn't win because the imitation of Michael Jackson. He's not imitating the other two though. I love this is just people that are trying to categorize him. So they're saying that he's a Michael Jackson, but Eminem hasn't even won a Grammy for hip hop. Correct? He hasn't won a Grammy. He's won a he won an Oscar. Imagine that. It seems like you need to be a woman to be nominated these days too. There's that reigning sentiment, yeah, that they're favoring women. I personally don't want to think about that. Like it should always be about the merit of the song and the artistry, not the gender. I think personally, like if I get an award just because I'm a woman, I probably would that more than anything. That's going to shrink my self confidence because like you just made me win because of my gender. So and also some of the nominees, I think they deserve it. A K-pop that's like K-pop doesn't or does. Oh, it went up. It went away. International armies boycott Grammys. Let the dollars, let money talk. Everyone has a wonderful weekend. Night all. Bye, Elizabeth. Good night. Melody Mooney. If it's just a popularity contest, look at what JK did with Hours Notice in Times Square a year ago. Um, Eminem has 15 Grammy nominations. How many has he won? JK was not trying to be MJ. He was honoring him. At least that is how I saw it. I don't think he was even like it wasn't even in his periphery. Female singers have been more popular recently. It's a popularity game. Yeah, because of the feminist movement. Beth, we are armies. We are army, but what? Eminem wins on rap and rap album, but no hip hop. It seems like SK musical taste is diverging from what Western fans like. For example, trot. Oh yeah, there is definitely a huge gap between what Koreans like to what the international fans like. A huge difference. That's why, like for example, Twice in the beginning of their career, they were very very popular locally. Um, like I don't think there's any group. Yeah, they're just popular. Maybe there is, but they were just really very popular in the beginning of their career in Korea, and then they started growing up, maturing, and of course their music has to evolve with them, and they started gaining international fans. But then they started losing their general public support from Korea. Eminem doesn't submit to the Grammys anymore. Yeah, that's what I know. He doesn't submit anymore. Grammys won't include any BTS member at the Grammys. It's because they can't use BTS's presence since they're in the military. U.S. artist, that's Panda's nanny. US artists got political, so imagine they got nominated because of their politics. Yeah, it's very, very much politicized. And I don't just mean like politics in terms of the red versus the blue, but also politics within the industry itself. As I've said, it's like a quid pro quo. Like, I will vote for you, vote for me. so so that's one level of politics, and then there's the other, like the blue against red politics. So yeah, it's both. Did you see it last year? Most disgusting ever felt. What do you mean he was odd? I was waiting for the day Big Hit stopped submitting to Grammy. I just think it's an unfinished business for them. So I think they might continue submitting. My dog is looking at me. So they might continue submitting. But how did Eminem get nomination if he doesn't submit? I think initially he was submitting and then he stopped submitting. Let's see. So he stopped submitting. He stopped submitting 2012. Yeah. So he said in an interview that some awards as evil are evil, and that most award shows require artists to sell their souls to win. I remember him saying this. I can give you the link, but he said that he has been nominated many, many times, and he's won multiple Grammys, including best rap solo performance for My Name and best rap album for Slim Shady. And then he also performed, but he stopped submitting 2011. So many legendary artists have never won a Grammy. At the end of the day, the Grammy don't mean much long term. Translations: Eminem is saying they want you to go in the background. They want you to do exactly what Cat Williams described in his interview with Club Shay Shay in Club Shay Shay. So Cat Williams did not lie. There so he was pretty graphic about it as well. He really said the words that, like, no, I he said, he there was one part when he said, "Oh, you have to say no to Diddy." And I said no, like blah blah blah, because I want to protect my dignity and the virginity of my bleep. So I was like, what? Did you really say that? And so he said so many things there. I'm back to Cat Williams because I remember his interview. I'm back to Cat Williams. So he said that he so he said so many things there that a lot of people on Twitter actually kept track of the things that he was saying. And then people who were involved in the things that he was saying sort of reacted or whatever. And at the end of it, he was 100% accurate. Like, he didn't say a thing that others were even refuting. So Eminem was nominated this year. Crystal Snow said yes, Eminem was nominated this year. Accused Harvey Weinstein, and we see where it is he is it now. Has no firsthand observation of actual abuse. However, there are many that do. I think he was offered, and you just said no. So you are correct, Sunny, that he does not have actual experience. He just said no. So that's why he never had the experience. I don't think it's always like that. I mean, for everyone, Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish. We'll know in the future. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Dual Pipa. I'm pretty sure it's not like I'm. Yeah, most likely it's not 100%. Not everybody's a victim. I'm pretty sure there are some who actually are unscathed, and thank God. But for I think I don't know, but there's like one is too much, right? right? Eminem is not showing up at the Grammys. There is a publisher that has sent video footage. He testified for the grand jury. Does Lady Gaga and Bruno's songs a new one? Did they reach the required time? No. Jaguar Wright is a good tale of how the industry will blackball you for saying no. Okay. Meet No Scooter has nothing to do with it. Listen to Cat William uploads. It's all about Diddy. Oh yeah, it's all about Diddy. Why would anybody why would you think that he's there? I mean, why? Okay, I know. So I really don't care about Scooter Braun or whatever. I barely know anything about him, but he was never mentioned in the Cat William interview. He mentioned several names, but he never mentioned Scooter Braun. I think they're favoring. It is as favorite answer. I think they're favoring people for things not related to talent and more related to ideology. And in Butter and Dynamite era, the boys were on fire. I hope Eminem wins and he doesn't show up. In some ways, I'm kind of happy that none of the members got nominations because I want to win and actually be there in person. It would feel strange if they won while in the military. A lot of people will be very, very angry at the Korean military that somebody won while they're serving. Jaguar Wright is saying everything about Diddy. Don't you have to submit in order to get nominated? If he's not submitting, who submitted M? His manager, the guy that he really loves a lot. Okay. Let's continue to our next topic. I want to sue Korean government. All right. Just want to continue with my commitment to refocus back into BTS. So now that we are talking about Grammys or whatever, I do think that there is something more important for us to focus on with BTS, and that is BTS's legacy. I think they have a long career ahead of them, and I think I am going to trust them when they said that they want to stay for together for a really, really long time, and I think they will try to do that. But as I've mentioned, I also do think that eventually they're also not eventually, but they will also continue doing their solo activities and then maybe just come back together again every several years for an album or a tour. But my delusional mind wants to believe that they will actually come back for a reunion every festa. Okay, so so I think it's more important for us to think like, what is their actual legacy and how can we help in making sure that this legacy actually be recognized. um, because we do have a huge part in that. I think their legacy has different layers and it's not just going to be one legacy. They have their impact actually transcends the music industry, and I think it can be divided into three: critical impact, social impact, and commercial impact. Commercial impact, we can discuss that later on, and I think they still have a lot of records to establish, so that will be a continuous conversation. I want to concentrate just on two things for now. One, I think one undeniable legacy that they are going to use to leave behind, that even new artists are starting to use right now, is how they actually use music as the foundation for a larger narrative. So for example, before BTS, it was just about an album. So you release an album or you release a single and that's it. You say everything within that album or within that music. But BTS would actually tie everything together, different media, different channels. They will tie everything together in one big narrative, one big story, basically. So they have, of course, the music, and then they have the music video. They also did from that story. They supplemented it with a book, and then they supplemented it with a TV show and a series. And so that all of those together, if you interpret that the right way, or at least if you have some sort of interpretation, that actually builds a bigger narrative or a bigger story. So many groups right now are actually attempting this. Like whenever they release a music video. There's a story in the music video. They're looking for clues about the story, and then they're connecting a music video to the previous music video, and then they'll drop clues for the next music video. And there's always a story that is to be completed by tying those different music videos together. Now, being able to do what BTS has done, this requires a lot of planning. And I think that's why a lot of groups are unable to do it yet, because unlike BTS and unlike other hype groups, hype groups and BTS, well, they started with BTS, they would actually pre-plan their content 2 years in advance. So they can sort of plan all the narratives together. Other groups would actually just pre-plan everything per comeback. So they'll pre-plan the next album and then plan the next album and then plan the next album. Then the other legacy that I am sure they are going to leave behind. Oh, sorry. The benefit here is that you're actually making music. You're elevating music because it's like a thread that connects everything together in order for you to build a bigger story, a longer story. So I think eventually, as time progresses and as people and other management companies try to tell these stories in music videos, they eventually will attempt to do what BTS has done, and that is to actually really use different media to tie one story together. Okay. And then the other thing is the lyricism itself, the messaging. They actually speak about experiences and concerns or struggles that are universal but are often ignored. So it's not very new for any song to have a critical message, a social message, or any kind of message at all. That's not new. It has been done for as long as music has been around. So that's not nothing new. What BTS is good at doing is they actually pick up topics that we all experience. They talk about experiences that we all have gone through, or at least most of us have gone through. But they're so common that we don't even think about them, that we don't even bother putting it forward to be discussed because we feel like it's just an everyday part of our lives. For example, Black Swan. It was about how routine, pressure, and exhaustion, that's the sheer physical exhaustion, can take away your passion and enthusiasm for something. So that something could be a job, a relationship, your family, your friendship. Once you're so used to everything, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the magic of what it was, you just lose it. And so you lose your passion for it. So that happens to everybody because we all get jobs, we all get into relationships, but we don't really talk about how damaging the routine and pressure are, how damaging that can be in the relationship. Okay, Black Swan is their masterpiece. It is one of their many, many masterpieces. And Panman, for example, is about heroism through humanity. So everyone is just about especially millennials. They talk about like making an impact, but if you ask them, like, okay, what kind of impact do you want to do and how are you going to do it? They don't really know. BTS is the first one of the few that talked about you become a hero just by being human. If you just try to become human and you do human things, you're actually going to become a hero. That you don't need superpowers, you don't need to be strong. You can just give people a piece of yourself and you're already a hero. And it can be as simple as listening to somebody or being a friend to somebody. That's heroism already. Okay. Walian, as you know, is about outgrowing your own world because we do outgrow things. We outgrow friends. We outgrow our own family. We outgrow our relationships. We outgrow our profession or our work. They're the first one who started talking about it, how you start speaking on a language at a level that nobody else understand. And so even if you're surrounded by a crowd, it can feel so incredibly lonely because you just start speaking a different language. And it's not necessarily your fault, it's not necessarily anybody's fault, because if you listen to the song, they're actually not blaming anybody. They're just saying this is just how it is. We're singing in a different tune, we're singing in a different level. Nobody can hear us. And we're all familiar with that emotion, so familiar that we don't even talk about it. Okay, so that is the opportunity for us to bring substance back to music, for BTS to be the ones to actually bring substance back to music. If they can, if we can emphasize and highlight just how important that is. Let's stop. It's fine. There is a place for music that is just fun. That there's always a place for that in the industry. And there is nothing wrong with doing songs like that. But for the love of everything holy, can we just create music that actually evokes emotion, that actually will start a conversation, inspires to think? If we can emphasize that that is one critical part in the discography and career of BTS that made us very very loyal to them, then then their music will then encourage other singers to also start putting substance in their music, so we all benefit. And again, if they can speak on experiences, concerns, or struggles that are universal but are often ignored, that will be a big impact. So the question is, how do we help? Right? How do we help in putting this forward? How do we help in making sure that people know that they started this and that this thing that they are doing is what caused the is the first or the start of army? That is why we are so attached and so loyal to them. How do we help in highlighting that? Always remember that there is power in numbers. There's many of us, and they've always wanted the kind of support that BTS is getting from armies. So let's not forget the superpower that armies have. So we need to lead conversations about BTS towards the substance of their work and not just popularity. So it's so exciting to talk about awards and achievements, and we shouldn't stop doing that. But we also need to make more effort in highlighting the substance of their work. So send requests to your favorite creators. Talk about to send just tell them, just talk about the substance of the BTS's music, or that they can, or if they can, they should interview other creators who can talk about the substance on their own shows. What I have observed is that there are many creators. In fact, the most popular creators that are related to BTS aren't really the creators that are talking about the substance of BTS's music and their contribution and their legacy. The biggest creators, the ones that are most subscribed, don't really talk much. They don't really say a lot about BTS. They're just like, oh, they're great. Oh my God, that's great dancing. I'm going to include that in my. But nothing substantial is really coming out of their mouth. So if you're hell bent in supporting these people, then at least tell them, at least request, can you talk about the substance of the music? Or at least, hey, here are the creators that you can that you can work with, that you can collab with, so that they can at least talk about the substance of BTS work in your show. I think that'll be good. And then of course, support creators that are talking about the substance of BTS's work. Seek them out. There are not a lot, but there are some. So I hope that you put more effort in supporting these creators instead of others that are just obviously using BTS for popularity. The other thing is, don't compare BTS to just any other act. Like, oh, BTS versus this, like, why different level. So let the K-pop acts compete with each other, and BTS should be held into another level, to another standard. Put BTS's name side by side artists and works they reference, or are artists and works with comparable quality. Lastly, live their message and talk about it. So make sure that we all say that they inspire us, that they helped us in overcoming some of the hardest parts of our lives. Then at least talk about it. I know sometimes it can be so personal, we don't want to talk about it, but at least share how BTS actually helped you. You don't have to talk about your own personal situation, but at least s- talk about how BTS actually helped you. All right. Um, let's read some of your comments before we get to the next topic. Some creators, when they listen to Black Swan, few get the meaning immediately, and those are musicians. Same with Louder Than Bombs. I always try to recommend explanation videos. I don't have patience for creators that don't turn on the subtitles and just say the beat was good, etc. But they're the most followed. I really wonder how. Like, I don't know if this is just about validation, because some armies are just excited that, oh, an American is actually supporting BTS or just a fan of BTS or reacting to BTS, or a European or a German is reacting to BTS. So even though they're not actually providing substance, they would subscribe to them because for them, the validation of those people are important. Sometimes I think that way. I may be wrong. Probably I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. So when I see how hard idols work, I decide to go and do my homework. Do not disappoint. BTS's chapter 2 is coming. It has already started. This is pop. Google it. I can't post link here. This is pop. Google it. While BTS has made inroads, they are still outsiders. I think they will forever be outsiders just from the point of view of um, the industry itself, like the industry insiders. But in terms of their commercial impact and their commercial success, I think everyone is already aware that they have generated the same kind of mania as Michael Jackson and the Beatles, but they will never be as recognized because they are Korean. A lot of people don't understand what they're singing. Bang is spreading himself too thin financially and quality is falling. Hmm, I don't think so. I mean, if I look at the groups that he's producing, Le Seraphim, I'll It, they're my God, the quality of the music of those and Hypen, the quality of the music of those is just way superior. So not really. I mean, I'm sure the thing is that I don't think they BTS will need Bang Shiuk's Bang Shiuk to focus on them when they come back because they don't need Bang Shiuk to produce music anymore because Bang Shiuk used to be the main producer of BTS. They don't need him anymore. They've grown enough. They're great enough on their own that they can do their own music. So I wouldn't expect him to be there like 24/7 in terms of the creative development. On the marketing side, yes. Hybe is launching two new groups next year, right? That's a lot. Yeah, but that's their product, right? So you want to pump as much as they can in the market, let them mature, and then eventually they will become profitable. Hello, hello, Feli. That person must not know about the company and BTS. Quality for Asia, not US. Quality for Asia, not US. You mean the quality of BTS? BTS's quality is global. I can put BTS against any artist from any part of the world. I love basically all hype groups. I don't think quality has this decreased. I'm just amazed. I love some, except one group. Watching their videos and content just makes me feel happy. I love Le Seraphim and Cat's Eye. I hope that they can have the chance to collab with BTS. So for Le Seraphim, Hyun Jin actually already collaborated with J Hope. Hybe is missing a niche market. Hybe is missing a niche market. What is that? What market are they missing? I think you maybe you're just a little impatient. It takes time for them. Like for example, I am expecting Le Seraphim to make greater headway by next year in North America because they've laid down the groundwork. For I'll It, I won't expect it for another 2 years because they need to build enough of their portfolio, mature as artists, and develop their own identity, not just the identity that they have right now as a group, but individually as their own identity. They need to develop that before they make some headway. Same thing is true for Enhypen. So maybe you just need to be a little more patient. Can we ask Hype to have BTS live album? I know, right? I want that too, so that they can rap. That title on reaction videos is annoying. Oh, so they can rap? That title on reaction videos is annoying. Who says that? Niche is US. Niche is US. The adult artists, they need to get away from debuting teenagers. I want Hyde to do. I agree with you. Okay. I think Bang is great at making music, but sometimes I wonder about his business decisions. He built a conglomerate. What are you talking about? I mean, if you don't, like, of course they're going to have problems. The only difference between Hype and other big companies, like for example Samsung, is that Hype is very visible, very public, because that's their entire business, the entertainment industry. So it's natural that they get attention. But you think like Samsung don't have scandals like that? They just don't get written about often. But he built a conglomerate, and now he's building a conglomerate in the US. You're not impressed with that? He has billions of dollars. He is a genius. Bang is not the CEO anymore. He's not. He's the chairman. I don't understand why people think that when someone listens to K-pop for the first time that they're going to sound the way you want them to. I didn't. Um, I hear this a lot. So I go to a dog park. I'm sorry about the helicopter. I go to a dog park for my dog, and often there's like a lot of people conversing about music and whatever. And one of the things that I often hear about K-pop music is, number one, is that they're always like, even though they don't listen to K-pop, they will think that they actually know the music in K-pop. Like all of them will say it's just, oh, it's just this specific sound. Like all of them sound this way. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Do you even listen to K-pop? So people with opinions who don't know anything about the issue that they are forming an opinion on. I hope they collab with Cat's Eye. I subscribe to your channel now. Why? Because I'm so sarcastic. Thank you, though, Wonder Woman. At least for now, spread the word. Only 1 week to vote every day. Same, Andrea. BTS is so special. They managed to punch the hole through language and culture, and grab the hearts of international listeners. We found them through Dynamite, but Becoming Army tied us in. So you're a Dynamite baby, Melody. I'm 64 and read everything through the web. Stay Alive and Lilith is underrated. I think the Cheetah is underrated. Someone's going to say, oh, you're a sugar bias. You're a sugar solo. Tomorrow. Whenever I mention a single member and praise a single member, I get that. Like people would message me, "You're a this solo." Like, I like all seven. I just happened to think about it I just happened to think about that member at that specific moment. Hype album. It's a good idea, except for when you're spread the word on YouTube to get Army to vote BTS members. Please get on Mnet and support the guys. The one thing I'm annoyed about Hybe is that their group songs are getting shorter. I think that's a marketing strategy or a business strategy, because shorter songs, it's not just them, by the way, it's the entire industry. Songs are getting shorter and shorter. Do you think any of the BTS members beside Jin could go into acting? Te, V, for sure. V is a natural. So I hope he does. Um, I don't know. I think those two. I think all of them may be able to act, but very specific roles. But I think V and Jin are prolific. Hype Christmas album. I'm proud to say I have a bias line. Yoongi, Tae, and Jimin, but I love all seven. I think all of them are good actors. Lai and Black Swan should have a Grammy. It's so classic. I agree. I just listened to a song from Seoul that was 15 minutes long. Jimin couldn't be. I'm surprised that you even were able to listen to a 15-minute song. Jimin could, but he's giggle in between takes. So remember, I'm writing a novel, right? Yeah. I think that role, that character that I imagine Jimin as, I think he can play that role. I saw a rumor V is going to guest star in Squid Games. How? He's in the military. Did he shoot it before he was in the? He can't do that. He can't like take a vacation and shoot. That's not allowed. Yes, I know. Just pointing out the level they are trying to go to bring down hype. I'm excited for V's version of White Christmas with Bing Crosby. I'm excited too. I think it's a perfect partnership that no one saw coming. I'm pretty sure it was V who actually thought about it. Of the seven members, he has like the the of course the love for jazz and for classical. So I think that was his idea. I would rather have White Christmas with just V, but maybe they'll release that too. You don't want Bing Crosby? Why not? His he that was still the best selling single in history. I heard the rumor about V being in Squid Games shortly after the first one finished. I doubt it was true, but we'll see. I don't think so because they did not. Oh, sorry, I shared the wrong thing. I don't think so because they did not start shooting until not recently, but they were already in the military when they started shooting. There are many rumors about BTS, even they are in the military. I think it was top TOP of Big Bang. I wish V would have chosen the Christmas song with Nat King Cole. I think it would really show his voice. That's another collaboration I would want to do. Why are there so many uploads about RM being married? I don't know where that came from. By the way, as I think I've mentioned this before already, I'm not really interested in the personal lives of BTS. So, like, if somebody tells me that, oh, like RM is married, I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to do? Like, great, good for him. I'm not really interested in their personal lives. I mean, their love lives. The only interest, I okay, let me correct that. I'm interested in so far as want them to be happy, of course. So if they are in a relationship, I would assume that they are in one because it's making them happy. So so yeah, so I'm not interested in that. I want them to be with a specific kind of girl. Thank you, HHK. I'm not interested. Just they can do whatever it is that they want in their personal lives. I just want them to be happy and safe. So whoever they end up with, I hope that person will take care of them and they will also take care of that person. I hope that person inspires them and supports them in whatever they do, and I hope they do the same for that other person. So but other than that, it's their life. So just want them to do whatever it is that they want to do, and I think really that is the best way to fight all of this, like people who are trying to invade their privacy. The best way to fight that would be to not care about things like that. If we don't care about their relationship, then no one's going to talk about it, right? Can we get Debak appearance? We will. Yes, you will. He was actually looking at me and he's showing his paws just to make sure that I do not forget him. So I will get him. Let's just talk about Jabbawockeez. BTS is single now, maybe. Someone said that RM is married to her. Wonder Woman said RM is mine, believe it or not. So it's okay. So the debate is settled. So it's Wonder Woman who's actually married to RM. If you disagree, you're gonna have to raise your hand now. Otherwise, it's going to be final. RM is married to Wonder Woman. Army celebrated Jin making bubbling under and then stopped streaming. No Wonder Woman, I fight you. Okay, so Wonder Woman, sorry, Mickey is willing to fight you. So now we have two people that are actually claiming to be married to RM. So what about RM just being married to the both of you? How about that? Okay, so let's talk about popcorn please. They can be sister wives. True, you can be sister wives. My God, I watched that show from beginning to end. Did you hear about North Korea blowing up all the bridges leading to South Korea? I heard about that. Congrats, Wonder Woman. Does RM know? Okay, so I'm not sure if you're aware, but the biggest hip hop crew in the US is actually made up of Asians. There's except for one member who's African American, the rest are actually Asian. So let's go back to the history of how they came about. Back in 20 something, years ago. There was a show called America's Best Dance Crew. It was created by Randy Jackson. Yes, the Randy Jackson that was actually a judge in this other reality show, America something. Okay, so there was a show called America's Best Dance Crew, and this is the first set of judges. So Lil Kim, Shane, and Sashay, which is from NSYNC. Okay, you love that show? American Idol. There you go. So Randy Jackson, who created America's Dance Crew, was a judge in American Idol. He's a producer. He's actually a bassist by nature. I'm talking about Randy Jackson. He's very, very successful, and he's also very much, of course, into hip hop. Okay. Oh, what happened? All right. So this is the first. They participated. Jabbawockeez actually participated in the first season of America's Best Dance Crew, and they absolutely shocked everybody when they performed in their very on the very first day. The first day was actually a knockout round because they danced to a slow song, which is very uncommon to do in a hip hop performance. So, but they shocked everybody. This is the group. So this is, I don't know if I will remember, Ben Chung. He's from South Korea. This is from the Philippines, Renan, Philippines. This is Phil. Sorry. No, this is not Phil. I forget his name, but he is from Vietnam. This is from the Philippines as well. And this is Phil Tayag, also from the Philippines. And this is Kevin, who is African American. So this is the original crew. They had one member who passed away just before they joined America's Best Dance Crew. Okay, so they won. They eventually won the first season. Um, and they went on to have, after touring for about 2 years, they went on to have a Vegas residency, and to this day they're still actually there. So their show has been on for 24 years. Imagine that. That's how successful they are, and they're like the grandfathers of hip hop right now. So the dancing part, because of how they have actually really sustained their career, elevated their brand. In fact, so this is another, like, so they would, every several years they would sort of change the narrative of their show just to keep it fresh. So they have performed in, aside from doing this, they also have a merchandise, of course. You can buy it online, and then you can, so it's a pretty, it's a very, very strong brand. Now, in season 3, Quest Crew actually won. And they are also primarily Asians. I don't know if I can remember everybody, but this is Ryan. He's from the Philippines. This is Hawk. He's from Japan, but I believe I don't know if he grew up in the UK, but definitely he's from Japan. This is D Trix, also from the Philippines. Steven, Chinese. He's from Hong Kong. I don't remember the name of this guy, but he's from China. Don't remember the name of this guy. And this is he's the only white person in the group. Okay, so they're also primarily Asians as well. They won season 3. They were supposed to join season 1, but they couldn't make it because I believe the issue was with Hawk's working documents, because he is from Japan and they had to get him a green card or something. This crew actually eventually ended up winning an Emmy. That's how good they were. They ended up winning an Emmy, and they actually fought Emmy, because apparently for an Emmy, if you want to be, if you have to, like, for a choreographer, it can only be one person, and that's the category they won in. Only one person can win, and Hawk actually fought, because he said, no, there's no one choreographer in a group, we all do it together, so you have to make it Quest Crew. So eventually they allowed that they be nominated as Quest Crew, and of course they won. This is the piece that won them the award. I hope that you can check them out. So Quest Crew ABDC week 4 is it's like one of the best performances you will ever see. Okay, they also choreographed party rock anthem with element, so that this thing actually, this entire choreography came from them. So I hope you can check out as well. Now, recently, need to watch MTV EMA Sunday. Yes. So recently, Ryan, who he said that there is no leader in the group. They actually operated like a communist group. But how he's talked about several interesting things. Number one is that how do you really sustain a dancing career past your youth? Because according to him, dancers really have a short shelf life. The body isn't just designed to last forever. And if you're dancing the way that they are, hip hop, and they do a lot of tricks, they do a lot of acrobats, your body is going to give in sooner because you're just not going to stay young forever. The problem is that the thing that now the question is, how did Jabbawockeez actually lasted 24 years doing that? And the one good thing that Jabbawockeez did is that they wore a mask. That's actually their signature. They're wearing a mask. When they perform, they're wearing a mask. And so it doesn't have to be them all the time when they're performing in Vegas. So that sort of allowed them to sustain their career longer. Sometimes because they take off their mask at the end of the show to do the bow. So sometimes my guess is that most likely at the end they would do the dance, but in some parts it's actually not them. Um, they Quest crew don't have that, don't have that, um, they don't have that luxury because it's them and they do a lot of tricks. So there's nobody that can take their place. So that is one of the things that they struggled with. That, like, if we want to do something like a Vegas show or do like a performance, like tour with a specific narrative, how are we going to do it? And at the same time, make sure that our body remains healthy. He actually got, Ryan actually got injured and had to stop dancing. Um, so the other thing that didn't work for them is that there is a communism in the way that they run the crew, meaning the pay actually got distributed equally. They always have to be there, 100% attendance in every performance, and the pay got distributed equally regardless of how much you pitch in. So for example, for Ryan, he was um he was the one who's primarily doing the music of Quest Crew, but he never got an extra pay. So he said that it's just not sustainable because at the end of the day, you would want to be compensated for the amount of work that you put in. So that is one of the things that sort of made them question whether or not they can really sustain the group the way that they started it. And then the other thing is that just they couldn't dance that way for the rest of their lives. At some point, so they went back to America's Best Dance Crew, the Battle of the Champions. So all the winning groups actually came back to compete. Jabbawockeez, for obvious reasons, didn't go back to compete because why? They don't need it anymore. They have a very strong brand. But they did, and they actually won. So Quest Crew was the winner of the Best of the Champions season. After that, they went on tour for 2 more years actually. But after that, they started asking themselves, like, they were already in their mid to early 30s. So they were like, what are we going to do? How are we going to sustain this? Like, it's just taking a toll in their body. So I thought it's a good lesson on how on the necessity of actually winning, actually building a brand. If you want to, for those of you, a lot of you keep on sending me messages about you wanting to do like your own YouTube channel or putting up your own business, and many of those are actually hinged on your own skills and your own personality. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you just need to sort of think about how that business is going to continue beyond you. So, what are you going to do if you need to take a vacation, if you get sick? Without you, if it is hinged on you, then without you, there will be no income. So, that's just one lesson. I hope that you can actually look for the interview because he provided really great insights on how they should have, like, looking back at it, how they should have done it, and it's going to give you an idea on how you can build your own business, or if you want to become a creator, how are you going to build your community beyond you. These times remind me of Step Up days, Break Wings 2.0, and MHJ behind it. In Korea, other K-pop fans united to beat BTS. I hate it. Well, they didn't. They weren't able to beat BTS. The other collab I'd give a left and right arm to hear, figuratively speaking, with Bishoga and Eminem. Yeah, I hope so. Have a good night. Bye, Beth. Okay, I have 6 more minutes. What do you have questions for me or anything that you want me to cover in the next live? We all love 3Js. I kind of want the 3J to have a collaboration with Jabbawockeez. Now the dance troupe Jam Republic is huge. You can see them with JK and the Golden Boys dancers. They have a very multicultural vibe. Do my own YouTube channel. Shudder. Nope, no thank you. I admire those who can get in front of a camera like that. It takes some getting used to. Congratulations, today is my birthday. Happy birthday! Happy birthday. Have you listened to the mash yet? Please. I listened to, I think, two. I listened to that. When did I listen to that? I think on my way home. I listened to two. I forget the name of the songs. I will, in my next live, I will research for the song again. It was a YouTube video. I'll research the song again and then I will let you know. Happy birthday. Yes, Bella Tricks, happy birthday. What's your birthday wish? SOS and When I've Got You. Everybody's wishing you a happy birthday, Bella Tricks. I want to see J Hope dance with Chris Brown. Chris Brown? Chris Brown. Ciao, guys. Dinner time here. Have a good one. Bye, Sharon. Be kind to yourselves. Borahe. Happy weekend. It took Jimin 1 year to create an album. Thus, I would prefer that BTS members live their private life and create music as artistically as they want. I mean, I will not mind if they would not make as much um, songs. Have my book published. Why are you not publishing it? Bellatrix. You can do Amazon. Why does BTS submit for technology awards? Why doesn't BTS submit for technology awards? No Chris Brown. Tracy doesn't like Chris Brown. Happy birthdays. Multi Stan 95 said happy birthday. LA in-person meetup. I can make it. I'm planning to do that. No Chris Brown. The Mash is my favorite singer, so kind, and all around great human being. All these dance groups, and I'm stuck on the Street Boys from the Philippines. Claire, I know the Street Boys, and what was the other group? Street Boys and some. They have a competitor, right? I want to see Jimin and J Hope have a dance showdown with Wang Yibo. I don't like the person that he is. Why not Chris Brown? Oh, Danji. Why not Chris Brown? Chris Brown had a controversy, I guess I would say. Um, he used to date Rihanna, and he laid his hand on Rihanna. So that is why a lot of people don't like him. This was, of course, pre. She's married now, so this happened when they were teens, like very very young. As long as JK give us serenades, I'm happy. Chris is a multi-talented artist. Maneuvers. There's a younger one that was like more. They were competing with Street Boys. I forget the name. No GD, sorry. 3J dance album. I am all for that. Oh, not that guy. Actually, today with like right around this time would be perfect for the 3Js to have to have like a dance album, because just like what Ryan of Quest Crew mentioned, they're not going to be young forever. Eventually, the body is not going to move as well as they used to be. So I would love for them to sort of have that chance to create an album while they are still while they are still at their peak. So I do want that. Chris Brown has moved on. He's grown up and he's a family man, but it still doesn't take away from his artistry. I want Jim in and Chris Brown collab. He's talented as hell, but his controversy will forever be on his shoulder. Chris Brown was 19 when that incident happened with Rihanna. He's 35 now. He's not the same as he was then. I definitely, I'm all for forgiving people. I'm definitely all for forgiving people. So my hesitation is not based on the controversy. I just responded to Danji, I think, who asked why not Chris Brown. So my hesitation is not about the controversy. Fair lane, but through the program regarding Chris Brown, so many other women and recently, so many other women and recently, so many other women went through the same thing. You mean, Rebecca? Haven't you sinned before too? You have to forgive. I definitely, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not about, again, it's not about the controversy. I just responded to, because he asked why not Chris Brown. So y'all making excuses for Chris Brown when he's still doing it. Okay. So you're saying that he still has controversy. Let's move on from Chris Brown, shall we? Let's move on from him. 10 is a good 10 is good, but Wang Yibo is the clear winner here. I still like the maneuvers over backs. Oh, UMD. UMD is the one that I was talking about. Yes, please, let's move on. Yes. Yeah, let's move on from Chris Brown. Okay. It's we've gone an hour and a half, and I know that some of you may have some plans for the evening, maybe some reading. I if you're a member of my Patreon, I do give away books every 2 weeks. Platinum members get one book every month, and then diamond members get two books every month, along with other things that I give them. So if you want, that's one of the benefits of being a member of my Patreon. So if you love books, please join us there. And we're starting a book club so that we can also discuss the books that I'm giving away. I suggest a rest on collab but subunits instead. Honestly, I know Chris Brown's name, wouldn't know him to look at him. Thank you, Fairlane. I'll be waiting for more of your explorative video in your home country. Enjoy your golden moments of JK. I know, I'm so excited. So I'll do a review. I'll share my experience on my next live stream. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope that you enjoy your weekend. Eat as much as you can. It's the weekend, so it's everybody's cheat day. I don't know if you know this, but Sundays, calories don't count. Always remember that. During Sundays, calories actually take a rest. So you can just eat. I would say I will do a report, Tracy. I'll try to do a live if I'm allowed, but I'm guessing I'm not. So thank you for doing this. Thank you. I want to be fit for the future concert. Me too. But Sundays, the calories don't count. Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.